In the land of humans, one sunny afternoon, the white men came with their guns, their loud voices, and their chains, turning neighbors into enemies and families into strangers. They brought fear into our hearts and tried to take away the one thing we held dear, our freedom. But in the face of despair, one brave youth, Odinaka, stood up. His courage lit a fire in our hearts, and his wisdom became our shield. This is the story of how he saved humans from the chains of slavery. My name is Ifeoma, and I was only 15 when the white men came to our village. I remember the day like it was yesterday. The sun had barely risen. My sister and I were fetching water from the stream when we heard the loud bang of a gun. Birds scattered from the trees, and my heart began to pound. We ran back to the village, spilling water from our clay pots as we went. When we reached the square, we saw them, strange men with pale skin, wearing strange clothes. They carried long, shiny weapons and spoke in a language none of us understood. Behind them, some of our own people, villagers from faraway places, were tied with ropes. They looked tired, hungry, and hopeless. The white men were here to take us away, to sell us like yam in the market. Our elders begged and pleaded, but the white men only laughed. They called our village small and said we would make good workers. As the fear spread, our people began to whisper about resistance. But who could fight men with guns? That was when Odinaka stepped forward. He was just 28, but there was something in his eyes that made even the elders listen. Odinaka had always been different. He spent hours in the forest, learning the language of the wind and the secrets of the land. He said the spirits spoke to him and showed him paths no one else could see. We cannot fight them with strength, Odinaka told us. But we can fight them with our minds. The elders were skeptical, but the young people rallied behind him. His plan was almost impossible. He wanted to lure the white men into the forest, where the spirits would fight for us. But how will you do that? I asked him one night. Ifeoma, he said, the spirits have already told me what to do. Trust me. The ambush. The next morning, Odinaka walked straight to the white men. My heart stopped when I saw him standing before their leader. I can take you to where the gold is, Odinaka said. Gold. The word caught the white men's attention immediately. They whispered among themselves, and their leader finally nodded. Odinaka told them he would lead them to the richest part of the forest if they let the villagers go. It was a lie, of course, but the white men didn't know that. They followed Odinaka into the forest. We waited in the village, our hearts heavy with fear. Hours passed, and the sun began to set. Then we heard it, the sound of screaming. The forest was alive with noise, cracking branches, the cries of birds, and the roar of something we could not name. Later, Odinaka told us how he had led the white men into a sacred part of the forest, where the spirits of our ancestors lived. The spirits had hidden traps in the ground, and the trees themselves seemed to rise against the invaders. Not a single white man came out of that forest. The elders of humans gave thanks to the gods for coming through for our people,